Beth, thank you for joining me on my favorite platform, Zoom. I,
No.
I was like crossing my fingers all morning. I said, gee, I hope this works because I was a Teams person. I have Teams,
Oh
um,
yeah.
but
I
I paid for the Zoom and I'm like, well, let me just, I don't, I actually like it a little bit better with the way that it looks on the screen. So
okay. How's it
I'm
look? I
glad it
can't
worked.
really see.
Yeah, it's you and me side by side.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
this
so
way
thank
or this way?
Yeah, I'm to your left, I think. Yep.
Hey, buddy. So
Okay.
how do we know each other? I was trying to remember, like, okay, what was my first impression of John O'Brien
Yep.
at Framingham State College
Yep.
in Massachusetts? For those who don't know us,
Yeah. Yeah. That
football
is
guy.
what's oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but I think I've told this before to other people, not on the podcast, but so I kind of had an advantage in a way where I'll tell you why I'm saying that. There was another guy on the football team whose name was John O'Brien. Okay. So whenever
Wait,
anything
maybe I'm thinking of him the whole time.
That's right. So if there was anything that
That
was
guy.
like really bad, it was like that wasn't me, that was the other guy, blah blah blah. So there was always this, which John O'Brien are you? I'm like, I'm the John O'Brien from Peabody, Mass. So
Peabody.
yeah,
Mass. It's funny because I have two daughters, and I know you have Trinity, a daughter. Who else is it? Who else do you have?
Aaron is my
Erin.
youngest. Yep.
So nice. And congrats on your newish marriage. And
Yep.
that's exciting.
Yeah,
So,
thank
like,
you.
a lot of life stuff happening.
Yeah, we got our 1 year in 8 days.
Oh, okay. Will she hear this? What are you going to do? Plan something really special.
I have to, I'm crumbling under pressure. That's too much pressure to answer on this right now.
Okay.
Thanks. Thanks for mentioning that though.
Yep.
Like not planned. I don't have a plan. We were with some other people that are celebrating like 25 or 27 years and she was like, "Well, what's 1 year?" And one of her friends got like a Louis Vuitton purse for like a and then she's like, "Is that what 1 year is?" I'm like, "I don't think it's
No.
1 year."
You're like, no.
Yeah.
One year is, yeah. And also, I don't know. I just hit this. I don't know if it's, I just turned 55. We're in our 50s, right? So
Yeah.
losing a job or getting laid off just puts it all in perspective, doesn't it? And having
Yeah.
kids and wanting the best for them, like I just kind of let go of that stuff. Who cares? I don't
Yeah.
know if, I mean, I like it. It's nice, but it's not like we didn't come into this world with anything. We're not going to go out of this world with anything. So what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
do
right
something
now,
really meaningful.
so all right,
Right now.
You mentioned Framingham State, and
Yeah.
we can talk all day long about our experiences there. Mine, I kind of wrote that book, and there's a lot in there about my experience there. But tell me about the Beth before you got to Framingham State, and then I looked
Okay.
at your LinkedIn profile, and I looked at your continuing education, and I'm like always blown away when I see people that like I just went there and got my degree, but there are so many people that went on and did other degrees and have masters and all that kind of stuff. But like walk me through where you grew up and then what made you pick Framingham State and then what launched you into today. Like if you fast forward 30 years, now you're a business owner, you're an author, successful author, you have two girls. I mean, it's a pretty cool story. But
Yes. It's pretty.
I'm guessing that there was a point though where it became I'm betting on myself, right? I'm taking the initiative to bet on myself, and this is what happened.
Yeah. I love that moment of clarity. I've had a few of them. And also, we were talking before you started recording just about like you betting on yourself with this podcast. And I don't know, I just love it because it's authentic. It's a conversation. It's not formulaic, right? And I love that. And it feels like your true authentic self coming out. Like you got a hoodie on. That's so great. And I'm just really like I'm excited for you. So,
Thank you.
and I think that's a good message there is just the stuff that feels scary and hard, and who the fuck do I think I am to do a podcast or to start a business or whatever. Those are like the moments that really matter. So, and I know a lot of your listeners are runners, right? Because I heard a few of your earlier podcasts. So, what a great metaphor for life. Like I remember back in 96, I did a marathon, but I couldn't even run 1 mile.
Hmm.
And then, slowly built up. And then I was a runner for 10 years. Now that's not what I do. My daughter's training for her second marathon.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's like we have, I'll backtrack a little and share my story, the best that I can. But I think it's those lessons that we learn. Like the hardest moments, I think, have been my biggest growth, like my biggest learning and overcoming fear. So backing it up, I was just born in Radford, Virginia. So I lived there from 0 to 8.
Okay.
Moved, huge change. Like my dad was a professor, a music professor at Radford College at the time. Now it's Radford University. Like I remember we had like the milkman would deliver the milk, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and there was one car. Like we were really struggling. I remember just eating out of our garden, and we had powdered milk. We didn't have real milk. Like we didn't afford a lot. But it was just simple, just nice and
Hmm.
simple. But then I moved to Western Massachusetts, turning 9, starting fourth grade. And it was like another world. And I got made fun of. I had, didn't have the right clothes. I had high waters, just bullied. Fast forward to high school. I remember this kid on the bus. Um, like I would buy my clothes at thrift shops
Hmm.
before it was a cool thing to do. And I remember one guy, he would throw like pieces of tinfoil at my head and poke me, and just mean, like
Yeah.
mean and mean. Massachusetts tough.
Yeah.
Um, Somebody said like to me once, like what the fuck is that? Like something like that. Like I was doing like a punk style with my hair. Like I did like an asymmetrical haircut. I was just like trying to figure out who I was, and like the world's cruel, you know.
Can be.
And Mass,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. But I learned from being in Mass, I learned like a toughness, um, how to get myself out of meeting at the flagpole. Like it would be like meet at the flagpole, your ass is grass, that kind of thing. How can I elevate myself, like get myself out of this rut, right? Like I don't want to be a part of that. How can I separate myself? And it's like I learned this inner resilience really early on to avoid, physical violence, got enough of the emotional abuse, at home. So anyway, I'm kind of rambling, but
No, it's fine.
a high school teacher, and this is the whole point I was kind of getting at. Like I thought I was doing okay. Like I did debate team, but I also did cheerleading, but it was kind of a loser cheerleading team. It wasn't like a cool year of the cheerleaders. I was so bad. And just high school's hard. Junior high school's hard too. And but anyway, I thought I was doing okay. Like I'm about to apply to college. I knew I'd be going to a state school because my dad worked at Westfield State. And like I don't get into UMass. I did
Hmm.
so poorly on my SATs. I think I got into maybe Bridgewater, the one that's way in the Western Mass. I can't remember the name of it. And
North
then
Adams or
yeah,
Adams. Yeah. North
North
Adams.
Adams
I think
and
it's changed the
Framingham.
name. Their name now is like um it has a different name, but it was North Adams or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then Framingham.
Yeah.
And so those were my choices. And I remember two people in high school, and I'm not gonna say their names, they're probably dead now, but like my counselor said, you'll be lucky if you get to a community college, Beth. And then my English teacher said, hey, Beth, at some point you need to start getting by on more than your personality in this life. And I remember just thinking, like, do you even know me? Like, I was
Yeah.
such a good girl. Like, I was a photo editor. I was kind. I wasn't like a troublemaker. Um, but I'll never forget that. And
Yeah.
so I thought like, oh, I better get by on more than my personality. Okay, so I'm not enough. So what do? I had this great journalism teacher, Mrs. Schlobum, and I just like took a took to it. Like I loved, I was curious. I asked questions. I remember interviewing Vietnam vets, just she was a cool teacher. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I could be a journalist or a
Hmm.
writer, something like that. But the English teacher doesn't think I'm really good at anything. So
Yeah.
so after college, I'm like, let me just find the hardest thing in the world to get into so I could prove. I just went through like decades of proving myself to, I don't know who, to the English teacher, I guess, but I got into covering the Defense Department, the Pentagon, as a woman reporter back in the 90s. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Covering, like trying to figure out the defense budget and reporting about that. It was so complicated. I was like faking it big time, but I would get good sources because of my personality. I would get really interesting stories because I got great documents. I would just wander the halls of the Pentagon and just dig up, interesting stories. But I found that I was really just interested in the people, like
Yeah.
the generals and the admirals. And I was always asking them, like what motivates you? How did they get here from here? I was always curious in like what was going on inside, like what made somebody tick.
Yeah.
And and then the next comment came from a colleague, a reporter, and I'm not gonna call him out because he knows who he is. But he said, "Hey Beth, how are you getting such good documents?" Because I was killing it. Like I was getting stories that the New York Times was covering, but I just worked for a trade, like an industry publication. Um, and he said, who are you sleeping with? What
Yeah.
sort are you sleeping with your sources to get those documents? And I remember just thinking, like, that thought never even crossed my mind. Like the military guys, they were gentlemen. It was interesting conversations we were having.
Hmm.
And that really, I don't
And
know,
this was
there's just like,
this guy was a writer for the New York Times. Is that what you said?
no, no, no.
Oh, he
I
was
was getting stories like at the level that the New York Times was getting.
right,
Like
but the
I was,
person but that guy that asked you, he was just like a colleague or somebody who
yeah,
was
he was another
okay.
reporter in DC, like
Okay.
Capitol Hill, Pentagon. That was kind of
Gotcha.
our beat. Um, yeah, he's since apologized to me. Interesting, after the U2 movement came out. Remember that?
Oh
I
yeah.
think maybe and like maybe having kids and daughters reflected on, wow, that was a really shitty thing to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place. But
No.
Framingham, I'm trying to think. One cool, like I was thinking, what was our like cool thing you did at Framingham, and what was just something really foolish that was like, I
Wow.
can't believe I did that.
I mean, I
You
don't
can
know.
only pick one.
Yeah, I don't know what the statute of limitations is for crimes, but I don't want to incriminate myself by saying some of the crazy stuff that I did there. But I can just tell you what I did learn there wasn't
That's a good.
academic. It was survival, right? It was my
Uh,
skills of making a mistake, but figuring out how to correct it. I became really good at solving my own problems. I created them, but I became good at backtracking and try to figure out a way through either brute force or personality or persistence. That's kind of what I learned. I learned that if I am interested in something, I will apply myself. Like I applied myself to football, and that was one thing that I could see, I could connect the dots. Like if I put in this time, I'm going to get some results, like weightlifting and running and all that. But I didn't realize it until I was like a junior or even like second semester junior year when I was on like this, am I even going to graduate type mentality of I got to do the same thing with academics. I have to really stop and focus. And I just remember this is a true story. I remember the first book that like I ever read cover to cover was like a junior year in college. Like how ridiculous is that? I faked my way through high school reading or supposedly supposed to be reading all these books, and I didn't until junior year in college. And I was like, all right, reading for me was about how I think I'll parallel that to becoming a runner because it's all how to keep yourself relaxed and calm and get in a headspace of actually like engaged in the moment, reading. And then so that's what I learned. I mean, as far as good times and fun things that we did at Framingham State, it was a great experience and I wouldn't change it for the world.
I love how you kind of turned it though into like a life lesson. And I mean, that word survival, I think everything I just kind of explained, kind of where I came from, I was just out there in the world on my own and it was survival.
Yeah.
But like, I love being from Mass. I remember, I had since moved to Washington, D.C. And I remember I worked for Raytheon, which is aerospace and defense. So I kind of went, you know, went from covering the military to then being a professor at George Mason University and actually teaching journalism and teaching writing. And all I wanted to do was like pump these kids up, like just be like, you can do fucking anything. Like you can,
Yeah.
I never, it's like I was making up for those crappy teachers that really put me down. I just wanted to like make the world a little better. And then, doubled my salary going to Raytheon. I mean, being a professor is hard to live on, and especially in DC, Northern Virginia. So now I'm in aerospace and defense, but I remember being in DC, Virginia area and flying back to Massachusetts. And I hadn't been there in a long time because their headquarters used to be there.
Yeah.
And I remember getting off the plane and I was kind of psyched, like, oh, I'm back in my old stomping ground. And I forgot though, I forgot how tough you have to be. And I forgot how tough I was. And driving, I remember getting off the plane, getting my rental car, heading to headquarters of Raytheon, going through Logan. I mean, what's that tunnel?
Well, the
Um,
Ted Williams Tunnel,
no, it was
the
I don't remember.
Callahan Tunnel.
No, I probably call it the wrong name back from,
Oh, from
all
the
right, I'll,
airport to head west.
yeah. What tunnel is that?
Well, there's only two.
Wait, what are they? What are their names? I
So
have
the
to know this.
Callahan Tunnel is the old tunnel, and then
Okay.
Ted Williams Tunnel is the new tunnel.
I'm thinking of a totally different name. I'm going to remember it and get it back to you because I know I'm not making up. But anyway,
No, I
I
believe you.
remember driving through there and I became Beth from years old rather than Beth who is 45. And I'm like dropping the F bomb. This person's cutting in front of me. I
Yep.
just like, it's like
Oh, right
muscle
back.
memory. I just went
Yeah.
right back to that.
Yeah.
And then being in that corporate environment, like I'm a lot like you. Like I don't I don't like really following the rules. If I want to talk to somebody, I'm just going to go talk to them. Because being a
Right.
reporter, I would just call, I would just walk into the general's office and get my quote. Like I learned real fast, you don't do that. At corporate, like there are layers and layers and layers and layers. And I just thought, like, this is really stupid.
Yeah.
There's this, why do they have, and it's like people that don't really want to work that hard that just, I don't know, like
You're
you
in
have
your
to go
way.
through,
It's a chain of command. They're in your way, and you want to get. And
yeah,
it's crazy that I can share real
they're
quick.
in your way.
Yeah, they're in your way. I'll cut two quick stories. I had that same
Yeah.
experience of going back, and it was I moved to Iowa in 2011, and I didn't go back to Boston, say, till 2 years later. It was like a year and a half. And so the difference between driving in Boston and driving in Iowa is in Boston, the light before it even turns green, people are already going, right? Like that's the way it is. It's like
Yeah.
you're gas or full brake, and that's it.
Oh,
And I remember getting adjusted to that here and then going back, and I had the same exact, like it was almost like you read my mind. I had the same exact experience. I got the rental car.
Logan Tunnel.
Yeah,
No,
well,
it's Logan Airport.
yeah, Logan, right.
Anyway,
So,
sorry.
yeah, no, that's it. And I remember getting in the car and I was like, holy shit, I'm back in like NASCAR, right? It's like totally different driving. That's funny that you said that.
Like survival mode. And
Yeah.
then also like when Good Will Hunting comes out, like there's so much pride about,
Yeah.
all the different neighborhoods. I'm Western Mass, so I never had like the Southie accent or anything, but there's still so much pride. It's like such a resilience and yeah, like survival skills growing up there that also I think what was your second story though? You said there were
No,
two stories.
I was gonna say that, I did work in the corporate environment. I worked for GE Capital in Danbury, Connecticut, and it was this giant building with probably like 3,000
Yeah.
people in there. And I just remember that I was that same way. I would be like, oh, I want to go learn about something. I would just go to that person's office and just go in there and say, hey, can you help explain this to me? And I did that throughout my whole entire career. And even when I went to John Deere, it was the same way. I'm like, I'm not going to send a meeting notice to talk to somebody that I just need 5 minutes of their time. I'm just going to go stand at their desk and get in their face and ask them the question I need to ask them. And I don't think they like that. I don't think they did. And I know that there was like, follow the process, follow the chain of command. And I'm like, this is stupid. Like,
Yeah.
why? If I don't need to go through three
I,
people to get a decision. And if you run your organization like that, which a lot of companies do, or well,
I know, I think it catches up at some point. And I know I was thinking like, what's happened to the world? Like we have to, this was the craziest thing that I learned. Like all of a sudden, people just didn't pick up the phone. Like as
oh
a
yeah,
reporter, I would just, whoever I want to talk to, I would just call them. Like now you have to schedule a time, like
yeah,
you have an appointed slot on the calendar, and that's when you can call. Like
yeah.
it's so weird.
How
I
about
still
how
don't
about when
get
did it
that.
become okay to not respond to an email
So like if you're
from your
asking a
manager?
question, and it's ego, right? Like it's all like people are doing the best they can. I always think like people are working, they're loving, they're in relationships, they're raising families, like at the level of consciousness that they're at. And I have this thought, like we're all one. Like, so I don't want to shit on you because that's like shitting on me. Like I believe it, but I think we're all at these different levels of learning. And, I remember like at Raytheon, for example, and I had a security clearance. So I'm not gonna like get into company details or anything, but just like these moments with human interacting with humans is so bizarre. Like I remember just watching how I did strategic communications when I was there. And
Okay.
I just remember watching like how the business wasn't really being supported by these campaigns. And I just felt like there's a real gap here. And then we were going through a merger and our VP like encouraged us like, hey, everyone's getting shuffled around, talk, figure out where you want to go. Some people are going to get let go, some people are going to stay. I have no idea what it's going to look like. So I was like, okay, cool. I took that as like talk to anybody. So I contacted this president and I said, hey, I could fill a gap for you with strategic communications if you don't have a person in there. And like everything was really siloed. And
Yeah.
he was like, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then a meeting was set up for me and another VP that I knew from another time in my life. I'm like, oh, this is great. I can really help them. Like I'm going to provide value here. And then that evening at home, I get a call from somebody above me. She's like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Oh,
You are
Jesus.
so disloyal. You're not a team player. I just got a call from so and so. And I remember just feeling like I did something wrong. Like I'm trying to help the company, I'm trying to fill a gap. And basically, it was her role that she wasn't, I didn't even know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I I felt like awful after. I felt like, wow, am I disloyal? Am I not a team player? Like, who do I think I am just contacting the president? Like I had all these doubts. And but looking back now, I was like, no, like, no, that it was just wasn't the place for me. But getting screamed at
Yeah.
by people above you, is you ever have that experience where you had
Huh.
like a boss that
Oh
just
yeah. Oh heck
how'd
yeah.
you
Um, so before I do that, let's put that
okay.
one on pause for a second because you really skipped over a big chunk that I think is meaningful. And you said you were, moved to Virginia and you were doing the reporting thing, and then you're like, oh, and then I just became a professor of um at George Mason.
Journalism?
Yeah,
Yeah,
journalism.
George
And
George
and I
Mason,
thought,
yeah.
wait a second, let's talk about that for a second because you go from, if you skip forward from like high school teacher, kind of English teacher telling you don't know what you're doing to now you're
Yeah,
teaching journalism at the college level or university
yeah.
level. That's a pretty big accomplishment in my opinion.
Thank you. And also, I realized, like, hey, Beth, you're actually wicked smart. Like,
Yeah.
maybe not the way my English teacher wanted me to be or on SATs, but I get life. And an observer. Like, I might kind of play an extrovert for work and stuff, but I'm truly an introvert and I just watch. I just observe. And somehow I'm able to just make connections. Like, put pieces together, see 5 years down the road. Like it's just how my brain works. And yeah, I think in a way, I kind of did it for all the wrong reasons where I thought like, oh, I'm going to prove I'm not actually a piece of shit. I'm going to go into perfectionism, into overachieving. And I got into this mode for many years of like, what's next, rather
Mhm.
than where I am now, which is what's right now. Like this present moment is all there is. It's all I need. I don't have to prove anything. But yeah, for a while there, I mean, it was really a positive experience. It's a great school. I mean, as was working for a Fortune 50. I mean, amazing people, the best communications teams I've ever seen. You know, they just when it was going well, it was beautiful. But yeah, so and there's another thing I skipped too. Before I got to George Mason, I was a stay-at-home mom for a decade.
Oh,
So
wow.
we lived in Connecticut for a while in Simsbury, so it was kind of
Hmm.
close to home. Um, Made our way back to DC, had two daughters. So there is kind of that decade, and I'm still kind of struggling with that today. Like, wow, because I'm single and I've been single since 2010. We got divorced, but I'm like, okay, 401k, got to start that.
Yeah.
How do I pay my taxes? Like, I had to learn life, kind of. Um, and I'm still learning. Like I'm
Yeah.
still I'm still like having your own company, no one's matching your retirement. Nobody's paying your health care. Like it's a on top 1,000 a month for health care. Like it's it's a risk and it's scary, but I'm like, I'm gonna figure it out. I came this far. So yeah, my favorite is being a mom. I've
Yeah.
Tess and Sky, they're 20 and 25. Tess is at NYU, just like magical, genius, creative, so like so on her own path in life. I think we talked about her before because she also did the long trail this summer in Vermont where she
Oh, yeah.
hiked like 200 miles.
Yeah.
She's also a storyteller, writes musicals. And then Sky's my eldest. She's in DC, having a blast, working full time. Like my kids are launched. What's better than that?
Right. So what I know like you went from like, okay, I wanted to kind of go and see what's next. And but what was it, do you
Yeah,
think, that drove you to, and how does that even work? How do you even get a job as a professor? I mean, you had to
yeah.
have some kind of like background education, certification, all that kind of stuff to become a professor. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's interesting looking back. I realized I never actually applied. Like I've never applied for a job I ended up getting, which is weird. I mean, but it goes back to what you were saying before. It's just like how are you connected?
Yeah.
That personal authenticity. So what happened was, right out of college, right out leaving Framingham, I remember just it's a graduation week, and I was sitting by. Remember that dam down by the State Street? I can't remember the names of the road. I was sitting on this piece of a grassy knoll. And I
Okay.
remember having my first anxiety attack. Like,
Yeah.
what? Wait, I'm graduating. How are other people getting jobs? Wait, should I have been looking for a job? I had no idea what to do. So I applied to grad school and I got in like by the skin of my teeth because I did well at Framingham. Like I became like a RA and I got
Yeah.
really responsible and all that. Um, got into BU and went to the College of Communications and I got my master's. So in journalism, then I had all the journalism experience because became a reporter after BU. So I didn't have to have a PhD. So that's
Okay.
how I got so I was the mom, raised my kids the whole time I'm writing books. I'm always doing a creative project. So I always had something to fill that 10-year gap because you can't really put like mom to Sky and Tess on your
Yeah, right.
resume. So I started after getting we got divorced, I started trying to rebuild my career from not working for a while. And
Yep.
I became an adjunct faculty member where you just teach a course. And then I was teaching three courses. And then I did a good job and I felt like I was part of the faculty. And then the guy who was the director of journalism was retiring. And they just asked me, do you want do you want this role? I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, honest to God, like my first job as a journalist, I made $23,000. My first job entry as a professor was like $54,000 or
Yeah.
something. And I mean, it slowly went up, but it's a lot of work. It's truly to be a teacher, it's a labor of love. So I guess that's how I got in.
And
I never set.
You did, and you skipped over another piece that I think is crucial because
What?
you're like, well, I wrote some books, and I'm like, that's that's not easy. That's
Yeah.
not easy to do. What was the first book that you wrote?
Um, the first one I did one with another author back in the late 90s, but my first one I wrote on my own was called Simple Grace
Hmm.
with subtitle Living a Meaningful Life. Yeah. And that was the first one that went through like a legit publisher.
Okay.
They did the marketing. I heard from readers. I think I had MySpace or something.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it was a long
Yeah.
time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. And then I was really into this concept of simple grace is what I called it, where my faith was really strong. Today my faith's a lot different. It's more about oneness and consciousness and the universe and, you know, tapping into that. Like we're all just here to love. Like I'm just very much into that now. But before I was really exploring like what's my relationship with God.
Hmm.
And this idea of grace kind of came into my life. And it's still there, but it's just a different relationship. God could be higher power or source or even nature or even love, you know?
Yeah.
So I started writing some simple grace books. It was like a series.
Yeah.
And then yeah. Then when I got to Mason, I ended up doing a textbook, which was I will never, if anyone is thinking about writing a textbook, don't do it. It's the worst. It's the worst process.
So I got a funny story about that.
Okay.
I had to at Framingham take philosophy. Like it was, I don't know why. I don't even
Yeah.
know what I was doing, right? I had no clue what I was doing, what courses I was taking or anything. I knew though when I applied that I wanted to be in communications. I wanted to do like make movies and direct because I did that in high school. I was like the cameraman, I did editing, and this is editing when you had like two VCRs and all that kind of stuff. But we had like a TV studio and I had TV
Wait,
production classes.
is that how we know each other? Because I was in communications.
No,
Were
we
you,
know
oh,
each other
so
because
you,
you said it when you were an RA. That's where I knew you from. And
oh, did you get in
so,
trouble?
no, maybe, maybe. I didn't live in the dorm that you were the RA. I visited the dorm you were the RA in.
Oh,
So anyway,
okay.
going now, I lost my train of thought. I was talking about the TV
Good memories.
communication. But what was I saying before that? I was saying,
Philosophy, and you wanted to be
oh
a
yeah,
camera
about
guy.
writing. Okay, so then I had to take philosophy. I don't even know why. I probably didn't, but someone told me I had to take it. And the professor was the author of the book that we had. Okay. And this is how I'll call ghetto Framingham State was. The book was literally just like papers printed out and like stapled together. It
That
wasn't
was,
like a bound book that had like a cover or anything. It was literally like, 100 pages of paper just stuck together. And I'm like, oh man. And I literally that was my I don't know, I failed a bunch of classes, but that one I got like a D. I got a D in philosophy.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was
And
a hard course. Do you remember they talked about like self-will
yeah,
versus
I
it was
couldn't
it was
I couldn't get it.
I had that
I was calling bullshit on everything. I was like, this isn't doesn't make sense to me.
because you had your own ideas.
I did. Yeah. I absolutely did. But
And I
sorry.
love
Okay,
that.
so you
No, I love that we like you had your own ideas. And I think we all should. I think we all get fed like a line of bullshit. And no, actually, we all have this calling. Like I talk a lot when I talk to groups or in my writing, I talk about like live your calling. And it gets buried down because we take on these personas. And I certainly did that. Like, oh, I'm a journalist. Oh, I work for Fortune 50 company. I ended up being a chief marketing officer. Like I just had like these hats that I wore, but
hmm
inside I always knew like, oh, this doesn't feel right. Like there's somebody in here with like dreams and ideas and aspirations and a deep, true purpose. And I think so many of us like have these ideas and somewhere along the way they just get like stamped down. And I hit this point and gosh, I hope everyone hits this point where who cares? Like we no longer care. I no longer care like what someone thinks about me. None of my business. I hear rumblings a lot of, what people think, and I say, hey, I'm going to stop you right there. I don't care. Like it's
Yeah.
none of my business. I'm here for what my calling is.
Yeah.
And like, I hope I can help someone along the way make their dreams come true,
Yeah, I think you're right. And I have like some kind of stories around that whole what happens to people. And I think what happens to people is the ones that are truly committed to what you're saying do it, right? They do it. They just, if I want to be an artist, okay, I'm going to go paint. And then they don't care. It's not about the money. It's not about whatever the fame. It's because they love to do it and do something you love and you'll never work and all that crap. But what happens, I feel like, to say 90% of the people, they graduate with a degree in economics, me, and then I'm like,
Okay.
I start working and making money, and then it's like, now, how do I survive versus what I wanted to do? And what's coming full circle is this is what I wanted to do 30 years ago, and here I am 30 years later doing it, but I set myself up to do it, meaning I worked. I did all of that
Yeah.
hard shit you're talking about. I worked my way through Fortune one, like company, like GE Capital. It wasn't easy to
Yeah.
work there. Worked my way up, made my money, did the hard stuff for a long time. And now it's like I should have been doing something creative like this 30 years ago.
So I love that too because it's all relative. Like we set ourselves up like there was a point where I had a 5,000 square foot home and 5 acres with, in Great Falls, Virginia. And like I walked away from that and I now live in a little cottage with a like I garden and it's on a peninsula, um, like between Chesapeake Bay and the Atlantic Ocean. And it's just like this really simple life. But I
Mhm.
work remotely, like I write my book, like, but I had to go through, like we all have to go
Yeah.
through whatever to get to what we authentically want to do. But there's a concept recently. One cool thing about having your own business, right, is you get to reach out to anyone and they can either talk to you or not. But
Hmm.
I reached out, I don't know if you ever came across Julia Cameron's book, The Artist Way.
Mm-mm.
If anyone, listening, like get that book. It's so interesting because it helps you, like, we don't have to leave our day job to be creative. We can have creativity at work. So I went through that years ago, but then I reached out to Mark Bryan. He's a co-author on that book. And he went on to write, I can't remember the exact title. It's like something about dragons, but it's basically the artist way, but it's being creative at work. So it's for all these CEOs and C-suite and employees, managers that have this job, but they want to somehow find their purpose. Well, but they don't have to leave full-time job, right? So it's like, how do you blend that? So
Hmm.
anyway, I reached out to Mark. Like it just our conversations took off. We now have a 5 year partnership with each other where if he gets called or I get called, we get pulled into some company to talk or whatever, we just like share the profit. Like it's just this beautiful partnership that occurred because I picked up the phone and I read his book. But it's this idea though that I used to have like, oh, I've got to have to leave and completely change my life to be authentic. It's like, no, what can you do? Like you started running, right? There's so many different things, like whatever someone's passion is. And it's usually something creative, which is really interesting. And that creativity just gets tapped out as we grow up, and I think we find our way back to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And as you were talking, I thought about it. I'm like, find creativity in your current role. And that story I told you in the beginning about, when I joined that company was don't
Mhm.
rock the boat. And I thought, oh man, that's a great way to introduce someone to a company is just, stay even, don't go too high, whatever, don't do this and that and everything. But whatever, it turned into I started out, I wanted to be in the communications. I didn't get in. Then I was like taking all these like chemistry classes and biology classes, and then I got into art. I really loved to draw. Like growing up, my dad was like he could draw like blueprints freehand. And then he could draw. I mean, it was amazing how good he could draw. And I started drawing and like blah, blah, blah. But I was into art and all that. And that was the creative part of me. And I was also into, again, making movies with the VHS tape thing, the big camcorders and all that kind of stuff with a couple of people and blah, blah, blah. But fast forward to I'm working in corporate world. I started weaving in that because I was being like suppressed creatively because it was a conservative company into a role of, okay, how can I use my passion of making movies and film and all that kind of stuff at work? And then I just started doing it. So I started doing like customer testimonials where I would fly out and I would video them and blah, 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 like, and producing those kinds of things at work. So it had an outlet, like you're saying, where I was doing my job, but I also was able to weave in my passion of like creativity and making movies and trying to be funny and that kind of stuff.
I
So
love that you
there
did
is a way
that.
to do it.
And yeah, and I think it probably opened up this channel for you where it just started building. And it's almost like you had to lose your job or get laid off so that
But
you could
this,
fully get into it. It's like I think it can start way back. I remember just taking risks way before I ever started my own company. Actually, in 2020, I was at Raytheon, and I remember I applied for my LLC. Like I wasn't going to do it while I was working there, and then I went on to another company for about a year, where kind of it started building, and I had to listen to it. It's like I remember sitting down once going like, okay, what are my actual values? And one thing I really appreciate, and for everyone else, is everyone is going to be different, but I encourage you to think about what are your values. For me, it was autonomy and freedom. I had my schedule was just owned by others, and I never knew, like I thought I was going to work on this today. I would turn on my computer and it was meeting, 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 just bullshit. Just let me have a meeting so we can talk about what we're going to do.
yeah.
And then, and I was like, I'm going to die. Like, I cannot live like this. I'm going to, like, it was visceral. Um, and it just kind of, I don't know. I just think like the universe sort of takes care of us, like when we're ready to, to change.
But you got to, but you're right. It's that take that chance to where you are risking everything, but it's
Yeah.
that itch that you didn't scratch and you're scratching it now and you're like, wait a second. I gotta go both feet in or it's not gonna work. And I talk about that with like a few of my friends. I'm like, I don't care what business I'm gonna start, it's gonna succeed because it's gonna be me, right?
Yes. 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 Like, bravo. Like that tweet that or whatever, like that, what you just said. So, and also don't even think about what could go wrong. Like, honestly, I'm 5 years in. So, my company is Titan Strategic Communications.
Hmm.
I got into communications because I thought, oh, this is the obvious fit. I left uh, chief communication officer role, and then I started, doing communications. But like even through this past 5 years, it's sort of ebbed and flowed. Like it's just evolved. And I kind of describe it like you throw clay or I don't know, whatever, you throw something at the wall and you just kind of see what sticks. I've tried so many different things and like I found like what I love the most and it's advising and it's listening and like I don't know if it's being a reporter, however, I just have this knack where I can listen and I feel like the CEOs, like they have the answers in them anyway,
Hmm.
but they just need like to be disrupted a little bit. They need like someone to look at it a little differently that's outside the company. And it's like not even work. Like I love that. And then the things that I really tried to be like, oh, let me do your I don't know, like I would pitch something to a company. It didn't feel authentic and like that didn't really work. And but diving in, like don't no, don't listen to the people that tell you like, oh, this is not going to work or how you're going to pay your bills. I mean, those are real concerns, but
Yeah.
somehow it's like somehow you figure it out in the weirdest ways. And the projects come like, I don't know, I can't even explain it. It's like if you, it's sort of manifesting. I don't want to get all woo-woo on you, but like if you can imagine it and you can picture yourself starting that business and you truly can almost feel yourself doing it in this moment, even though you're at another company, you're doing something else, but you believe like, no, like this is going to happen. Like what you just said, like it's going to be successful because it's going to be me. It's going to
Hmm.
be authentically John. Like
Yeah.
I believe you. I believe you. And then all of a sudden it evolved somehow. And I just knew like, oh, today's the day I quit.
Yeah.
Like just it's like a deep knowing that comes over you. And it might sound really out there to some people that aren't where kind of you and I are launching new things. But if you ever get there, like you're going to know.
So let me ask you this, and this is about the CEO part, and like
Yeah.
I have some like parallel stories to that where I feel like there it could be with an athlete or somebody that's really successful where all they have surrounding them is like yes people that tell them how great they are. Okay. And when you get to that level of the C-suite, there's probably a lot of people kissing your ass and not really telling you what you really need to hear, almost like your best friend, right? Your best friend's going to tell you what you don't want to hear, but you need to hear it. So I'm guessing that it's probably similar when you have these conversations with those CEOs. They're used to people around them pumping them up and saying how great they are and never disagreeing with them because they know that will be the end of their career, which is sad to say, but it fucking happens, right?
Yeah, it's really true. And I was definitely that disruptor within the organizations that I was in. And it really didn't go over that well. Like
Yeah.
I remember just thinking like this one CEO and I couldn't I was trying to bring so much value to him and I knew like but he wasn't having it. It's like he just wanted his team, his yes people, his ass
Hmm.
kissers. And I'm like, wow, we're never gonna sync. So, you know, fast forward to what I do now with Titan is I call it thought partnership. I think,
Okay.
you know, it's my company, Titan is I call it like a boutique advisory firm.
Hmm.
So it's small and it's niche. And, you know, there's thousands of CEOs out there. Like, I just need a handful of them. Like, it's, you know, it can be really scary to think, like, oh, I'm going to be advising CEOs. But it's not like that. For me, it's like we're thought partners, but it has to be the right fit. Like, they have to be really willing to trust me. And
Hmm.
that growth, right? That I think you know if you have immediate chemistry or not, but the trust it really grows. So sometimes it starts slowly as like a project, a strategic initiative I might help on, and then you know eventually the ideal is a year retainer. But when it works, it's this nice, you know, call me whenever you want to talk something through. I just helped a company recently with an AI merger. It was something that we started 6 months ago, just an idea the CEO had that hey, I'm thinking I might want to go in this direction, which had nothing to really do with their current company, but we
Yeah.
found a way to, and they really found this company to acquire. And it's like a beautiful synergy. And we talked through like all the fears associated, you know, CEOs, you think like, oh, they made it. Like your CEO, like you got it. But it's so much pressure and
Oh
it's so
yeah.
much stress and they're getting it from their board
Hmm.
or if it's a family owned business or investors, you know, they're getting it far more than they let on. So
Yeah.
having somebody outside the company to really talk things through. Um, yeah, and sometimes it's scary for me. Like I am about to open my mouth and tell them something that's they're probably not going to want to hear. And I think like, oh, I might lose this client today. But I just do it with like sincerity and genuine, like, hey, here's something I'm observing. Um, you know, possibly consider this. And then and some people really want the hard truth, like they really want that to be challenged. And others, it's like a little bit more of a gentle approach. But for me, it's really exciting because it's something that comes naturally to me. And you know, I was never a CEO of a huge company. So it's like part of me when I first started was, and people in fact said this to me, like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
And you know what? Who, who do I don't know how to say it. Like, who am I not to do this? Like, somebody's got to do it. Why not me? So wait, what's the name of your podcast?
Taking chances.
What
They,
is it like? What's why not you or
why not you?
something?
Like what? So what
Yeah,
it, yeah, what it
yes,
evolved was is like, why am I not doing what I want to do? Why am I? And then I meant like, I turned it around on like, what, why not you? Why not you? And I want to ask you right now, and because you went from
beautiful.
you always skip over the best parts. You're like, well, I was CMO and then I created my own company. And I'm like, wait a second, hold on a minute. What like what was there some of like we've been talking about the whole time of like it was like you were drawn to it or there was this itch and you didn't scratch and whatever, but where that whole take the chance part, like what was
Yeah,
it? Was there something going on that is that you just said fuck it, I'm all in? Like what was that moment when you said, hey, I'm going to create Titan? Or
yeah. Um, so I have non-disclosures a lot and things I can't talk
yeah,
about
that's
because
fine.
so, but I'm going to just sort of talk really in general.
Okay.
Um, a moment of clarity, and things have been building, and the leader I went in to work with, that leadership transition. Very often when CEOs transition, like the whole team
Yeah.
transitions with them. Um, I'm like, yeah, I'll stay on. Like, I'm here for the ride. Let me see how long this can go. It was a nice salary, and like I got like a really cute convertible. Like I was really enjoying my life. Um, even though like the material stuff isn't that important, it's fun, right? Like if I like to go to resorts, I like to go to spas, and that really afforded me a nice lifestyle. But I cannot work with assholes. I'll just say
Yeah.
that. Can't. And I had a few moments where it's like, I know my value, and I'm also a really kind person. Like if you take the time to get to know me, like I'm so loyal. Like I will always have your back. That's how it is with my inner circle. And I just felt like I saw a few things, and I
Hmm.
will not get screamed at ever again. I will never be around somebody who's physically violent. Like
Yeah.
I will never put myself in that situation. So now whoever I work with, I'm so careful. So that was my
Okay.
moment when I was like, no amount of money is worth being treated this way.
Yeah. Yeah, you know it's funny. You asked me that earlier about like a boss or something like that that I been had a confrontation with, and one sticks out, and it's kind of like my pivotal moment where I was working at City Capital. So Citibank wanted to get bricks and mortar in Boston, and they wanted equipment leasing arm for the bank. And I'm like, okay. And this guy that I met with and that hired me was awesome. This guy was amazing, right? And I connected with him. He was an ex-GE guy. I was the ex-GE guy, and he got me to go there, blah blah blah. Well, literally like 3 months in, he's like, "Hey, I'm leaving and I'm going back to GE, GE Capital." I was like, what? So then this other guy became my manager. Okay. Not the person I was connected to, not the person I wanted to work for, just it was inherited, whatever. And this guy was such a dick, and he was on drugs, like he was like a cokehead, drank like a fish, was like alcoholic. He was in a different part of the country where I was like working from home, going into an office in Boston because it was just getting started. But anyway, he called me one day and he just starts swearing and yelling at me, and I was like, motherfucker,
Uh,
who the fuck do you think you're talking to? I was like, I don't think anyone's ever pushed back on this guy, but I was like, you aren't gonna fucking talk to me like that. No way am I dealing with this shit. And at the time, I think it was, I just had Trinity. I had this mortgage. We needed to move into another house. It was the most super stressful time in my life. And this guy was like bawling me out on the phone. And I was like, fuck you. Like, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. So it's funny, like, it's all kind of like tying into, like you were saying, like, I wanted to be a maker of films or a director and all this other stuff, but I got into making money. And then it just became that's what I do. And then along the way, I'm like, when I did make transitions, I thought about it. There was events that definitely, like you just said, that's what I'm getting at, is there was an event that happened that triggered this. The event that happened to me a year ago is why I'm doing this now. So there are events that can make you make decisions, but then to me, where you're kind of going is like there's something in your head that was always there, and now you're doing it, right? So you created this company, but there was an event, and that's what led you to do it. But you took a
Yeah.
chance. I mean, I mean, to start your own business at whatever,
Oh,
50 years old.
and as a woman, and also I don't even want to say this because in case someone is listening that wants to start, but like I thank God I didn't know that most businesses fail in the first year. And
Yeah.
then something like a crazy amount, like
Like
never
us.
even make over $100,000. And like
Yeah.
I did, six figures my first year and continue well over, and I like it's always enough, I would love to hit like $1 million point, that kind of thing. But I'm like, you know what? I have enough.
Yeah.
It's my basic needs, food, clothing, and shelter. But also like I feel like we should say thank you to those assholes. Like
Yeah,
thank
right.
you. And also going a little deeper, what I learned too is I truly have stepped back and I had to almost heal from it. It was like a trauma, but I have nothing but love for those people now because they were exactly where they were supposed to be. I
Yeah.
look at them as like, anyone's been nasty to me, I'm just like, oh, you're a scared little child, like
Yeah.
just like me, right? Like, this little Beth comes out sometimes who's afraid and who, you know, doesn't feel like she's enough or whatever. And something in me must have triggered this guy where he wasn't feeling he may have just hated me, but like maybe
Yeah.
was just a scared, like he's in a really powerful role and has no idea what he's doing. Like that's got to be really scary. So
Yeah.
I just try to like send love and compassion and not hold on because that will destroy you. That will destroy me holding on to resentment. I can't have any of that today.
Yeah, I think, but there are phases of that, right? So like it's like there's a psychology to like an event that happens where you go, it's almost like when you lose a loved one, you go through you're mad, you're angry, then grief sets in and all that. And I know, but it's similar to that when something happens in your career. And I can speak for myself. It's happened to me twice, and it's like you instantly go to hate and you're mad, right? You want to kill the people, like figuratively, like you just want to be like what the fuck, right? And then you go through a period of depression, without a doubt. I don't think anyone in the world can go through a change like that and not get depressed. And then you start second guessing, and then you come out, and then you start to go the other way. You start going, wait a second, hold on a minute, that happened, but I'm not going to make it define the rest of my life. It has an impact without a doubt, but I'm going to start turning it into a positive. And like you just said, thank you for those people that did that to me because it made me better. And every time I look back at a major crisis or an event, everything after that has been better. And I mean, I'll say it, marriage, right? And I've talked about that before, right? Where, you know, for whatever reason, didn't work out, but it's better this next time, or like you're going to try to make it better, or you realize that it can be better. And that's another thing I'll say is that most people think I'm negative, like, oh, whatever. And like when you talk about exposing issues, I'm not exposing them and focusing on the negative. I always looked at it like, it could be so much better,
Yeah.
But that's the part I think people miss is that it's not me saying it's how terrible it is. It's me realizing that what you might be doing is probably you could do it better.
Yeah, I think when that what you described, that moment where it's like it gets so nasty, that's our egos clashing. That's where we're in ego. And I think I kind of went through this process of I had no idea what it was called. I described it to a friend, but it was like a deep despair, a lack of like knowing who I am. Like I shed all those personas. Like it was like my true self emerging, not my false self. And it's called an ego death. And it's where your ego dissolves. But like with that ego, it's like you're in it, you're pissed, you're like this guy, that guy, he
Yeah.
should have done that, whatever. Like
Yep.
but there's this other side to it. And I think like you're going through that process where like almost like your ego's dissolved and you're not out there being negative. You're just like, I have a real podcast. I'm going to be authentic and I'm going to talk about real things. Because fake is like nobody, you see people put fake on and you just, it makes you cringe. Like, I don't like it. So when something real emerges, like I think, and who knows, like people are saying, oh, why are you so negative? What, you're not, you're a truth teller
Yeah.
and you're not, I don't know. I think sometimes the people like the naysayers, like, dude, get in the arena. Why don't you see what it's like? Because most people don't, right? They don't take the risks. And I was like that too, like, oh yeah, love, find your passion, do what you love, and the money will come. It's like, yeah, where's the money, right? Like it's so much easier for people to say, but there 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 are those who walk the walk and those who talk the talk. And I want to be the person, like I want to use up every ounce of every day and never wonder, like never. Like I'm 55 and I've been single since 2010 when my husband and I got divorced, and like we raised these amazing kids and we co-parent well, but like he's remarried, he's gone on with his life. I've been so focused on like raising my daughters and starting this business and growing my career that I woke up like on my 55th birthday and I'm just like, okay, Beth, maybe you need to start dating quality
Yeah.
men. Like um, even my daughter said, Mom, like you've done your job with us, like you have a new chapter. And so I'm excited. I don't know what that's going to look like yet,
Hmm.
right? I haven't met him, but I'm so excited for it. And like we have so many opportunities in life, like work, family, career, relationships, travel. Like, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be? What don't you want to miss? Like, and I don't want to miss love.
Yeah. I also have been in the job and or like working environment for so long about how that there's a real thing that happens to people where they're afraid to succeed. Like they're
Mhm.
afraid to succeed where it's I never really kind of picked it out when it was happening, but I did pick it out for me personally when I started running. You know, like in running, if you're running a marathon or like a shorter race like that, it's all about time, right? Like, oh, how fast can
Mm.
I get there, right? How fast can I run a marathon? And it's very, very time focused. And I just remember training and being like afraid to run faster because I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it. Like I would be like, I don't want to bonk. Like I don't want to get to mile 10 and I can't run anymore because I ran faster. But until you get to that point where you pushed yourself like to the limit where you actually do like physically fail, like you can't run anymore. I don't think I've ever learned that in life until I started doing these longer races. That it you have to train to failure or get to the point where you're at the point where you're going to quit and you keep going, right? Like there's this point where you get to and you say, "Hey, I can't go anymore," but then you do it and you're like, "All right." But I feel like people get to that and they're afraid to succeed. And I had that epiphany moment when I was in that 100-mile race. I thought, "Yeah, you know what? It's 100 miles. I made it to mile 62. That's pretty good." And people would be like, "Oh, well, you tried really hard and it's a hard race and only 50% people finish." And I was like, "Fuck that. Hold on a second. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy that comes back and says, 'Oh, good try,' you know." But it was that fear right there of like, I'm gonna do it, but oh, maybe I shouldn't do it. You're like, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there is something that people are afraid of success. Never mind failure. They're scared to death of failure, but some people are afraid to succeed. Like, what's going to happen?
I I love I love that story because when I was running, I remember if I could get to the finish line and just have a little bit extra steam so I could just propel at the end, I thought I would just lose all my steam. Like I would just be out of energy. But then it was like a dopamine rush. I'd be like, why didn't I do this like 5 miles ago? Right.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But there is something that kind of takes over when we think we can't do anymore. And um what's the quote? It's something like, it's like, don't make yourself invisible to make other people comfortable, something like
Yeah.
that. And I think that applies, right? Like, it's almost like like, don't get too big, you know, don't get too big for your britches or whatever. Like,
Yeah, I think
but what
I've
if we
listened to
do? Like,
I listen to so many podcasts, and I don't know if you know Theo Vaughn, but I mean, he's a comedian, but he's also a really smart guy, and he suffers and he talks about it like imposter syndrome,
uh,
where I have friends that I have conversations with in private about the same thing, like, wait a minute, I'm this really successful business person, I shouldn't be. Like that's the thing, that fear of success, right? Like, it's like you're in a position where, like you said, enough is enough. I'm comfortable. I have a nice house. I have food. I have shelter. I have clothing. But you almost get like second guessing, like, how did I? Wow, I guess you're right. And I talked about it this week. I had a guy on. His name's Brian Dorfeld. Anyway, it was that point of, if you aren't going to be your own cheerleader or believe in yourself, know who else is going to do it, right? Like, not being
right.
conceited about
Who
it,
else?
right? But who else is going to believe in in you if you don't believe in yourself?
Yeah, and I want all of us to discover what we're capable of. And I get that imposter syndrome. I got over mine. It was probably 20, probably like 2019. I remember getting called into the chair's office when I was working at the university, and I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm gonna get fired. Like the gig is up. Like they found out like I did something wrong in a lecture. They're gonna be like, who? Yeah, you have your master's, but you don't have your doctorate, or like something. The gig is up, and I walk in and I'm like, hey, what's going on? What do you need, or why am I here? And I'm fully ready for them to be like, you're not, this isn't the right fit. Major imposter syndrome. And they're like, oh, we want to give you a raise.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even ask for. I
Yeah.
mean, and it wasn't a lot back then, but I walked out of there going, no more imposter syndrome. You know your value. And I think that's always, I have to remind myself a lot, like, your value. If that person doesn't want to work with you, like, that's okay. Somebody else will. You know
Yeah.
what you bring, you know your worth. And I don't know, wouldn't it be cool, like why can't your podcast be on the top 10, right? Or like, if we truly believe, and I do, that our thoughts create our results, then how do I want to think? Like I like having awareness of my thoughts. I don't know if it ever happens to you. Maybe when you're running, you get in that meditative state. But I can actually like watch my thoughts now, and I don't attach to them anymore. And I can decide like, ooh, do I want that thought, or do I want to replace it? And I like to replace it, like I hit targets for myself. And I remember this woman, business owner, and she was like the first millionaire woman business owner that I had heard like really talk about like really making money. And I think she was heading up to like 100 million. And it gave me the idea, like, oh, maybe I could make a million, or 10 or 100. Like, why not? Like, somebody
Yeah.
has to. Like, there's enough money out there for all of us. Not even about the money, but just about who can I attract into my world, and like, how can I find out what I'm really capable of? But I think it all starts with what we're thinking about. So, and if it's that negative shit talk, like, you know, replace those thoughts with the results that you want. That's
Yeah.
what I try to
Yeah, that's easier said than done, though, isn't it? I mean, I feel like it's probably a fake story, but it's a story about, like, the example is Einstein, smart guy, right? He did like 10 equations on a board, and he got like the 10th one wrong on purpose. And nobody said anything about how the nine were done right. They focused on the one thing he did wrong. And I feel like what you just described happens all the time, this self-doubt. The biggest self-doubter is right here. It's in your own head, right? I
It's
think that that's
interesting.
that's that
Yeah,
happens
it's like
to a lot of
walking
people.
into
That negative self-talk, it trumps positive 9 to 1, for whatever reason. And then it's the trick is to, like you're saying, manifest or think differently, or just have that mind shift of changing that to, all right, I'm not gonna. deny the fact that I'm going to have negative thoughts because they're going to happen. It's just to deal with those and say they're just in your head, and
Yeah.
there's, like you said earlier in the conversation about I don't care what other people think about me. And when you let that go, how much more productive and how much more genuine you can be when you're not worried about what people think of you.
Right. And like you walk into a room and you can, instead of the 99 people that are like vibing with what you're saying or you're connecting to it, you're focused on the one that you can tell is not, not buying what you're selling or whatever. And like that is an ego feeding proposition. Like when I realize, hey, Beth, your ego's back, like your ego's feeling insecure, like let that go and just be your authentic true self. That that genuine, I think of the word genuality, I don't know what the word is, but that genuine sense um of of being, like that's what's going to connect. And also I got to the point where, oh, it's okay. Like if that person doesn't like me or want to work with me, there's somebody else they're going to work with. Like I'm just not the right fit. Or
Mhm.
sometimes it will be, I don't want to work with them. Like I don't want that ego in my world either.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was thinking earlier when we were talking about being genuine, and I feel like when you talk about where we grew up in Massachusetts, it was just a different in your face, but not in a negative in your face way, but just a authentic, like no bullshit, genuine way. And people that I feel like that I've worked with that I have like a bullshit detector, right? Like I know they're disingenuous, but they think they're the most genuine person, or they think they're the most inclusive person, and the reality is they're the most like exclusive person. And I just call bullshit on it because I'm like, nope. And then I would clash, but it would be, oh, that's me being wrong. And I'm like, no, 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 nope. Uh-uh.
Yeah,
No.
I love that. I think that's really evolved. We can get to a point where, yeah, the bullshit detector, like you see the truth. Like I'm drawn to authenticity. And when somebody's not being that way, now I just realize like, oh, that's just their ego. They're full of fear. They're whatever. Like I'm just not going to let that into my space. But I think that's a real gift, like, and people are so very often concerned with how they're coming across, or like, trust me, no one's thinking about you, you know, no
Yeah,
one's
right.
thinking about me. Like we probably, we're thinking about our fears, our insecurities. They're thinking about theirs. And so it took me years though to get to that place where it's like, it's okay if someone doesn't like me, it's okay. It's really okay. And we're just supposed to be around other people. Like I still love you, like I try to be like, I believe like in that oneness, and I'm going to put that love into the world, and it's okay if it doesn't come back. We're not supposed to be in each other's worlds right now, maybe another day.
Yeah. So let me ask you about the business that you run right now. And you said 5 years in, and like you said,
Yeah.
and because I was in lending money to companies earlier, and you mentioned the stats about, I think it's like, a huge percent fail within the first year. A lot make it to year two, but they're undercapitalized, and that's a big deal. So as far as your business goes, we talked earlier about how it's about networking and you getting jobs from word of mouth versus you trying to go out there and, here's my pitch, here's my book, and here's my pitch, and blah, 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 and getting business through recommendations is amazing. And that's usually a great business fit too. But what kind of goals do you have at now you're 55, you're running your own company, but do you have like what are the career goals that you have or the company goals going forward, if you have any? And you don't have to tell me if you don't want to.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So at first I had the idea that I would take investors and that I would really bring it to fruition and then eventually have it acquired and make
hmm
make millions. And then I realized when I started working with more people within Titan, having more people do work, I realized like I'm such a bad manager. Like I'm such a control freak. Like I just want you to leave me alone and let me do my work. Like I have no interest in having a company with like full-time employees. I would do it for another company that's already established, but I'm so particular about like I think it's almost like a brand. Like my clients, they want to work with me. Like that I'm kind of become the Titan brand and
Hmm.
not by choice. Like I thought I was going to start a company, and if I do have extra work, I will hire consultants, and I pay them as like a 1099.
Hmm.
Um, but the idea of like I have to get to this level so that I can be acquired by that company, and that's gone. Now it's more like, are my basic needs met? Do I have a do I have extra like to go on a cool trip with my daughters? You know, can I pay my mortgage? And am I doing work that really fuels me? Like when I
Hmm.
have a meeting, I pay attention to it too. Like if I have meetings on my schedule and I start the day and I get more than once, I'm like, oh, I got to meet with that person. Like, oh, that meeting. I pay attention to that now. I'm like,
Hmm.
that's not probably the right fit. Um, and it's been really weird how like right this year has been so tough because I had um a lot of like government type of contracts, and in DoD it's like a 5.5 billion in cuts with
Yeah.
Doge. And there was a federal consulting group that I used to subcontract with within the government. You can go to their website now and it says like basically it's a ghost town, like it no
Hmm.
longer exists.
Yeah.
And within the government, there was an agency. I mean, all the agencies could use this consulting group to do extra work. And I used to have a contract doing some media work for Department of Interior, and like it's gone. Like
Yeah.
it is gone. And then so many of the, I'm right outside of DC. I'm a couple hours outside now, but those are typically my clients.
Hmm.
And I'm doing, I've had to pivot to more private companies
Yep.
and not federal contracts and just say, that's okay. Like I'm going to be okay. But it's scary because a lot of people are looking for work, especially our age, who have really like mad skills. Like they're really bright and they're not getting interviews.
No. Yep.
It's taking them 6 months, a year, 2 years. So I want to encourage if anyone's going through that, like what's your true calling? Like what would you do if you could be paid $1 million
Hmm.
or $100,000, like whatever your number is?
Yeah.
Like what would you do if you were guaranteed to be successful? And like think about what's possible.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. And it's like any business, you have to pivot, right? It's almost, I draw all these parallels to running, but like when the longer races that you do, something's going to go wrong. And like, I remember seeing throughout the years of being in corporate, like success is not a straight line, right? It's all over the place, right? And if you're not able to adapt and overcome and all that kind of stuff, you're responsible now for everything, right? Like you said, now that's your company. So to pivot from, okay, we used to talk about this with our customers all the time, or about our customers. We'd say, look, we know you know that person, but that person might not be there forever. So you better network with all those other people, right? So like go deeper and wider, into the organization because there's going to be turnover, there's going to be change. And the worst thing I remember hearing when I was selling money was the biggest complaint that a customer would have is when their relationship manager changed. They'd be like, "Oh, I used to love doing business with John, and now it's this other person." And they would leave the company because of the people. So being able to recognize that and, hey, it's not like you couldn't see this issue coming, right? Like with the government being downsized and eliminated and all that, but making that shift and into private, and networking and doing all that stuff. It's really cool to see because if you're not smart enough, like Kodak, like these Polaroid that,
Uh,
they didn't see it coming. Yeah, they did. They just didn't do anything about it. But doing something about
yeah,
it, that's smart, obviously. But I just remember
yeah, and
success isn't a straight line. And, if you have a plan, you might have to change it 10 times, you know?
that's I think the biggest takeaway. aside from like go after it, go get it, because it's just there for you to create. But the your plan, like pivot, like yeah, it's not a straight line. I have tried so many things that are like really out there and been surprised like what lands and what doesn't. And then also interesting, like the people, like you said, it's your network, but I've been really surprised by the people that I thought were going to show up and help be like, yeah, I'll get you in the door, no problem. Like I'll set up the meet that are like very like you're on your own, right? And then the
Yeah.
people that have really helped have been
Yeah.
such a surprise. Like, oh
Yeah.
wow, you've been watching what I'm doing. You're interested in helping me meet with that company. Thank you. And then the other thing I was thinking about, oh well, it's gone.
Yeah,
I
no, that's
lost
fine.
it.
I have a similar way you were going with that story about, you know, leaving or getting told you have to leave the company and seeing how many people that have said all along the way, oh, if you need anything, you know, let me know. If you need anything, let me know. And then all of a
Right.
sudden you're like, hey, I need something. And they're like, oh, delete.
Wow.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Wow. Like
Oh yeah.
it
I mean,
really it's a study, and honestly, it's a study in like human character and like
yeah.
how and it's also interesting the opposite too. Like I've always just taken the calls, or somebody wants to start a business, like I'll help. Like, but it got to the point for a while where like I could fill up every day of every week with the amount of people that were asking. Um, hey, can I get some of your time? Like they
Yep.
wanted my expertise. So I finally was like, I have to put, it was basically consulting. You're giving your experience away for free. And if somebody came to me more than 2 or 3 times, I would say like, it's going to be, you want to keep going with this. This is my retainer gone.
Yeah.
Like, and I
Yeah.
say, well, good, go,
Yeah.
because you're just like, there's a lot of users out there. And I feel like relationships are to be kind of like a give and take. And for sure, we should do service work. Like, for sure, I'm going to, any like George Mason student who I've had in the past, like, yeah, I'll coach you, like,
Yeah.
come talk to me. Right. But it's really interesting the people that, it's like we don't go to our attorney friends and ask for free
Right.
advice, maybe more than once. But being a writer, being an editor, and being a business owner, people just like, hey, can you look at my manuscript? Yeah, I charged $3,000 for that.
Yeah.
Like you have to value yourself, value your time, and maybe give a little away, right?
Yeah.
But otherwise, you're going to spend your whole life, your whole week just I don't know how I hope I'm coming across okay the way I'm explaining that. It sounds a little bitchy, but
No, I think you're
oh,
right. I think actually it's the theme of this whole thing has been the authenticity of a person, because I feel like the people that aren't true to themselves or that are fake are the ones that will tell you to your face, "Oh, come to me if you need help, if you need anything," and then they're fucking lying. They're bullshitting you, and you can tell. But then that's exactly what it is. It's all about they're just fake people. They're just fake, and then it's sad that, you know, you could get taken advantage of that way, right? Meaning you're going to help them because you're a genuine person and you like to help others and you want to see people
yep,
succeed and grow and all that, and you're giving, and like you said, you're sacrificing whatever it is, time, money, whatever, to help them. And then when the coins flip, it's ghost,
yep,
right? Because they're not,
yeah,
they're users, like you said. They just like
yes,
want to use you for whatever it is. It's the pretentious, like, you know, I remember going to visit a friend out in LA in shit, I don't remember what year it was, early 90s. And I just hated it there because everybody out there is looking for who do you know? How can you help me? And if you can't, then I'm not going to talk to you.
yeah. Rather than like instead of like, what do you do? Like, what are you about? What
Yeah,
what
who
are
are
your
you? Yeah,
who
yeah,
are you? Like, I
yeah,
love that. Yeah, and also it's such a small world too. Like two things. One is you always hear the shit people are saying about your company. Like you always like, who does Beth she is? Like trust many of the places I've worked, like it comes back and you hear it, right? And then the other is when you start to really value yourself and put your retainer out there or say, yeah, this is my fee for for this or that, how fast it's almost like, well, good. I just weeded you out because you're really not interested in, I mean,
Hmm.
I'm a small woman-owned business. Like it, you're you just know really quickly like who's actually interested and who's not. So I don't know, for anyone who's wanting to start their own initiative, you really find out who your true friends are.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, we're almost at an hour and a half. I know you probably are busy, but let me go back to one topic and we can end it. But I think it was
Okay.
a fun topic. It was about, Framingham State and the experience I kind of shared how it was for me. But what was it like for
Mhm.
you there? And maybe there's like you had asked me, is there a funny story or like a scary story that you could share and then
Well, first
that
of
you
all, do you
can share. I don't
remember?
want you to get in trouble.
Yeah. Well, and we had a dry
Oh yeah.
campus, right?
Yeah.
So that was that was always, and I picked Framingham. You asked me earlier why, and it
Yeah.
was whatever between the schools, and it was honestly the beauty of the campus. Like it's they're brick buildings with white trim or something. Like it's just a really charming New
Yeah.
England campus. Um, Okay, here's one. Aside from all the like trash cans full of grain alcohol in the in the drawers in the dorm room, um, I went out for women's rugby. Do you
Oh
re
shit. I didn't know that.
I just remembered that. Yeah, with my friend Melissa McDonald. I wish I could find out where she is now. She's such a good friend at Framingham. But we went out. Yeah, it was like one year um that was an experience. I realized like how not tough I am. Like I remember I was in the second row scrum. We had to tape our ears back. I just got like beat. Like it was a tough sport.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's a funny memory.
It's funny, that I would never have ever even thought about women's rugby until that Alona Mar girl. Have you seen her?
Wow.
Do you know who
Wait,
I'm talking about?
yeah. So wait, no, fill me in because I think I'm
So
thinking
Alona
of
Mar, she
something
was like
totally
on
different.
she's on like the US rugby team or something like that, and she became like really popular. She's like a bigger person, so she's really good at rugby. And there's like all,
Yeah,
but she became like this. Now she's this like almost she's like a celebrity now, and she's been in swimsuit. She was in this Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, and she's so funny, and I love
so
her. Like
cool.
I follow her on Instagram and everything, but again, it's almost like what, and I live in Iowa now, but like Caitlin Clark with the WNBA, this Alona Mar is doing for women's rugby right now. It's really cool to see, but that's funny that you played rugby.
I know. I don't know if I would call it playing rugby.
Yeah.
I was like a human guinea pig. That was a
Yeah.
really fun
I just
semester.
remember that, even the football team to some extent was really seen as like a negative at the school, in terms of like from the dean down. It was like, why do we have a football team? But rugby was club, meaning it was no
Yeah,
affiliation.
club.
Right, it was no affiliation with the school. You went to school there, but then the rugby team was club, and that was like fine, that they didn't care. But I just remembered like it was, first of all, it was hard enough for me to be a student there and do the work, but to play football and then to actually be seen as like you're a nuisance to the school. It was like an uphill battle. Literally, we had to walk like a mile to the practice field.
That's right.
It
Go
was,
Rams.
yeah, right. Exactly.
I was
It's
kind of a nerd. I mean, I think I kind of found my like you are actually are smart, Beth. Like I found my organization. I found my like my diligence like at Framingham State. Like it was like you could be a small fish in a big pond kind. Wait, a big fish in a small pond.
yeah.
You could really like whatever communications or like I don't think I ever could have gotten into economics. So good job to you. But we like really got to find ourselves there. And I was an RA, so I could get money for housing, and it
Hmm.
just helped me to probably stay out of trouble like a little bit more than I would have gotten into.
Yeah. I was just telling my wife today, or like nowadays. It was I don't we went oh I know what it was. So the Mississippi Valley Fair, it's a county fair here, and they have like musical acts like every night. And one of the groups was TLC. Okay. So TLC
Yes.
is now just TC or whatever, the L is missing. But anyway, it reminded me of something at Framingham State. I was like, man, I remember. So you mentioned dry campus, but they had the pub. Remember they had the pub that,
Yep.
and it was like in the cafeteria or part of the cafeteria, the commuter caf or whatever. And I remember they
Stand-up
had,
comedy we'd have there
well, yeah, but they
sometimes.
also had, if you remember, they had dances. You
That's
remember, like
right.
they would open up like the big part of that cafeteria, and they had the pub there, and it was like, I think, how weird was
Like
that?
some salt and pepper. Like we had
Yes,
some
exactly.
really good. What's the one? Tone Loc was really
Oh
popular.
yeah.
Remember
Do you
like
remember? Do you
the
remember?
rap.
Now we're like reminiscing, but do you remember when Yo MTV Raps came to Framingham State?
That was a big deal.
Oh yeah, I remember they had us because we were the security for the event. It was in the gym, the old gym,
Oh,
and the football team was like we stood in front of the like the auditorium or wherever. I think it was in the gym. But
wow.
anyway,
Where
I
where the
think
basketball team would play.
I think so. I think it was either there or I think it was either there or the auditorium. But anyway, I remember meeting like Chuck D from Public Enemy. He came in and Flavor Flav was there. It was a big deal. And I think the mistake they made, Framingham State, was they opened it up to the public.
Hmm.
And it was, the early 90s, and things weren't great back then in terms of
Yeah,
like,
right
what was
outside of Boston.
yeah. Yeah. It was
Memories.
yeah, exactly.
So what were you telling your wife about
About
TLC coming up?
how we had a dance. Like it just seems weird today. Like I have a daughter that's a junior at Iowa, and I'm like, I can't imagine them having like a dance. Like I don't think that
It was
happens anymore.
also, yeah, it was so basic. Like we had a
Yeah,
cafeteria. There was nobody was addicted to coffee. Like we
yeah,
wouldn't walk around with water bottles.
right.
Gosh, we're
Yeah,
so old.
yeah, right. I know. Well, I'm
Well,
older
hey,
than you.
if anyone from it's not even FSC anymore,
No.
Framingham University, so wants
Yeah.
to get in touch, please reach out.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Um, if anyone is interested though in connecting, my website is just my name. It's just
Okay.
bethjannery.com.
Okay.
And there's a little form you fill out to contact me, or I keep a Gmail. It's just my name at gmail.com. So I'd love to hear from, people who are trying to find their calling or old friends that want to connect. That would be fun too.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely put all that, and I'll ask you to send me a bio. Like I know your bio's out there, but something you want me to put in I can share for this episode, that would be great. And so maybe a picture or two, that would be awesome. Because I've been starting to learn more about SEO and search engine optimization, and how, there's a YouTube of this, and there's also the audio part of it. So anything you want to share, I'll put it on there.
Okay. I love it. Congratulations just on really taking a risk. It's very cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you doing this. Thank you for your time today. I really do appreciate it because I know people are busy, and this is just like a hobby right now for me, but I love doing it. I love talking to people and finding out what makes you tick and how successful you are. So congratulations on that. And we didn't really go down to how many books you wrote, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And I think I looked on Amazon, and I went and did my book through Amazon and Amazon Publisher. Man, what a learning experience that was. But to
Yeah,
have,
I need
go
to know
ahead.
more about your book too, so I'm going to check that out for
All right,
sure.
yeah. Yeah, I was in a spot where I rushed it. Like I wanted to just be done with it after a certain time. It was very time consuming. I had been doing it for a while, and I was like, all right, I just want to get this done, which was probably a mistake because there's mistakes in it. But that's what I love about it, is that
I love it.
there's all these mistakes in there, and I have people come out and reach out to me and say, hey, there's a typo here, or you didn't word it right here, and I'm like, okay,
I love the
thank
people
you.
that will tell you and edit and let you give you a critique and
Oh yeah.
they've never done it. Like it's always those people that,
Yeah.
that Yeah, that's okay. I like the mistakes. Please find them all in my books. I put them in deliberately because I'm not perfect and I'm really working on the perfection of them. So we're just real people. I love that.
Yeah.
Hey, I think you
All
might
right.
have a business with this podcast.
Maybe I'm hoping. I mean, right now, I'm not in it to make money. I'm in it because I love talking to people and I love meeting new people and I love hearing stories and sharing it. And I think that there's always going to be some little nugget somebody will take away. And I really, that's the goal is I hope somebody picks one thing out of this and can either learn from it or, learn about an experience or a mistake somebody made. And but they put themselves out there. That's the thing. Because when you
Love
do,
it.
you bet on yourself. It's
Yeah.
all up to
Bet
you.
on yourself. And like even if you fail, like that's where you're gonna learn the most. And I don't know, there's no failure, right? Because we grow
Yeah.
and if somebody can just relate to one piece of it, a little
Yeah.
nugget, I like that. I think that's really great. And it reminds us we're not alone out there.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, John.
All right. Thank you so much, Beth. I will talk to you. Have a good
Yep.
day.
All right. Have a great weekend. Happy Friday.
All right. Thanks. See ya.